Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll see how to create linear gradient in React Native. To create linear gradient, we're going to make use of Expo SDK. So Expo SDK provides us with this component called linear gradient, and we look into that component and the props available in that component. So here we have a simple app created using Expo IDE. So we'll go ahead and create the linear gradient, and then we're going to make use of this linear gradient in one of the component which we have built in our previous video. So let's import linear gradient from Expo. Now we'll define the component here. Now our first prop is gonna be colors. It takes array as a parameter, so it's gonna be the array of colors. So we will pass two items, blue and tomato. So I've tried 4 to 5 colors, and it works well, and I'm not sure what's the max limit for the number of colors we can pass to this component, but I guess 3 or 4 colors should be good enough to create the gradient. And since this is a view, we're gonna define the style property to make this gradient visible. So I provide width as 100 and height as 100 to make this gradient visible in our app. So now we'll look into the gradient. Since Expo has already reloaded the project, we can already see that gradient. So here you can see the gradient by default, it's coming horizontally, and the effect is created somewhere in between. So we can control where the gradient is created and how the gradient is created by using the other props provided by linear gradient. So the first one is we'll look into is start. So here we can tell the linear gradient component to start from where it should start the gradient effect. So the start prop takes array as its parameter. So it's array of x and y value, where x is uh, tells the linear gradient it should be placed after the 10% of left, and the y value will tell from where the gradient should start from the top. So now let's refresh and see. As I said, it has produced the diagonal effect, and that's because we are telling the gradient should start from left as well as from the top uh, at you know uh, 0.1, which is the 10%. So now I've changed it to 0.5. Now you can see how the gradient has changed, and you can see it's horizontal. From diagonal it became horizontal. That's because um, we haven't provided end prop, just like how we are passing start prop, we have not provided end prop, and it's taking the default end prop, and that's why we have got that. So we'll change it by providing end prop, and now again it's an array of x and y. So I will pass zero point 0.5 here, but I'll change the start to 0.1. So we are telling the gradient should start at 10% from left and 10% from the top, but it should end again at 50% to the left and 50% from the top. So it will be between the 10 and 50% you will see the gradient effect, and it's gonna be diagonal. So if you want to change this, and if you want horizontal gradient or the vertical gradient, then you have to modify this x and y value. So what I've done is I've given 0 0 for both the start x and the end x, so that will create the horizontal gradient. That's because we are not telling linear gradient to create a gradient from the left side. So now I'll change it and I'll make the y as 0. So this should create the vertical gradient, and because of what we have given 0.1.5, you see the gradient at that location. And you can also play with providing different values so that you'll get different combinations of the gradient. So now that we have a good idea of how to create linear gradient, now we'll look into one of our component which we created in earlier video. So one of the viewer had asked how to change the background color from simple color to a gradient color using Expo SDK. I have copied that code. Now I'll create one more component here in our Expo project, and I'll paste the code. I'll modify the code and see how we can put the linear gradient as the background instead of what we have currently. So here you can see the animated view which has the background color. Now just for the reference and proper understanding, let's see what our simple toggle button gonna look like currently. So I'm gonna import simple toggle button from source, and let's look into how simple toggle button looks like now. So when you click on it, you can see we get this scale effect with background color khaki. Now let's change the background color to some linear gradient color. So all I have to do is, so before I make some changes, let's copy, import the linear gradient component. So what all I have to do is place the linear gradient inside my animated view, so which has the background color as khaki. So now we have enclosed it, so the linear gradient is gonna be visible instead of the khaki color. And I've made a linear gradient to occupy the entire available space provided by its parent, that is the animated view itself. And now let's see whether we'll get our linear gradient background. So we got the background, but you can see the bound of the view is kind of exceeding the button itself. So we need to fix it. So the one way of fixing it is provide the same border radius to the child linear gradient here. So this should fix that issue. Let's check. Okay, so we got this and it's pretty good enough, but there's another way to do it, and I feel that would be a better way. Instead of styling um, the child to match with the parent, we can just give a pass a prop called overflow as hidden. So what this does is it will crop the child view bounds if it is crossing the parent boundary. So as you can see now, the linear gradient is not going out of the animated view boundary. So that's about it. And I feel this is no, important, uh, or this is the better way to do it rather than styling the linear gradient to match with animated view. So just to show you back again what we did and how the change is taking place, I've removed it, and as you can see the view is going outside. Now I put it back. Now the view should not be going out, right? And you can also try with other animations. I feel for the color, this linear gradient, I think more than scaling we could try opacity animation. So all you have to do is pass opacity prop. So I'll try with one more color. I'll add dotted blue and let's see how the linear gradient gonna look like. So as you can see, the position of the gradient is somewhere at 0.1 0.5% between that, and you can change this by making use of one more prop called locations, so using which you can show or you can tell the linear gradient component how the gradient should be placed at what location for different colors. And we have reached end of our video, and I hope you got to learn something today. And till next time, have fun coding, and thanks for watching.